Hey guys, so this is going to be a long video. I'm telling you right up front. So there will be chapter links at the bottom in the description. With that said, this video is an in-depth video of the AtomX CAST, and let's get right into it. Before I get started, please install firmware 1071. You do need to mount the Ninja onto the CAST, and that's the only way it will work properly. Otherwise, you need to reset the Ninja to factory settings and restart all over again. So once we go into menu, the first thing you realize is that AtomX now says AtomX CAST. AtomX CAST is now recognized as a base module, and firmware 10.7.1, it's already installed as well. These are the two basic things that you need to find in your menu first to see if everything worked out properly. So now let's go back to the beginning when it comes to sources. On sources, I have it set up right now to AtomX CAST so I can use it with this device. If you have it set up to HDMI, that's only for you to use the Ninja directly without the CAST itself. This CAST will not work unless it's set up to AtomX CAST. So if you put it to HDMI, only the two default input and outputs will work, and that's it. The preset in the middle is for you to use it with AtomX SDI modules. I do not own any SDI modules, so I'm not going to touch that portion. Now that the AtomX CAST is selected, you'll be able to use it. So just make sure that that's selected. It will restart, and it will only give you two things to record on. The recording features are only allowed to use are ProRes LT 422 and ProRes HQ. The other option is DNX HD in 420x, 36, 145, 220, and once again 220x. So those are the only formats you can record on when you want to use the CAST. The AtomX CAST is not a full isolated video recorder. So what that means is that it cannot record each individual channel directly on its own. Whatever is pre-selected by you by pressing one, let me exit here. So let me go into regular view. If you have selected a 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you see here on the program, that's exactly what's going to be recorded. The other aspect I want to talk about is the recording of the audio. There's three selections here. There's HDMI input, mic line in, and audio follow. HDMI input will only allow you to record the audio from one channel. Let it be channel 1, 2, 3, or 4. So whatever you have it selected to, that's the only audio input it will record. What can it record? It can record just about anything you feed through it on that one channel. So it does capture two channels, left and right. Let's say on channel 1 you have a mixer attached to that and with different inputs. It can capture all the inputs that you feed into that channel. So there's many ways of you going around that, but you will need additional devices or you need to pass the mic around. That's the only way around this. The Ninja 5 line in can record just about anything, but do remember that it does not provide any phantom power. Any phantom power that you need has to be provided externally somehow. Don't know how you go about it, but this does not provide any phantom power. So if you have any professional mics, it will not be detected by the Ninja 5. That's a problem, but if you want to use it, you get 24 bits of audio through there. Audio follow is as expected. It follows the audio of whatever channel you're in. So if you're channel 1, it goes to channel 1, channel 2, 3, 4, 5, channel 3 again, 2, 1, 3, 2. It follows the audio. It takes the feed out of any one of those channels, and that's the audio you'll be capturing. So if that's what you want to do, good. If not, just lock it to perhaps HDMI input or mic line in. That's basically all there is when it comes to recording, when it comes to the Ninja and the AtomX CAST. It is extremely simple. It cannot do anything beyond that. Both the Ninja 5 output and the CAST outputs basically do the same thing, except for the fact that the Ninja 5 is your fourth monitor, if you want to say, because you can monitor here, that's 1, USB-C, that's 2, the HDMI out of the CAST, that's 3, and the HDMI out of the Ninja, which makes 4. So there's really 4 outputs out of this device for 4 different things. One can be your program, one can be your preview, one can be your multi-view, and the other one is your feed, your live casting, everything. So the AtomX CAST can only output 1080 30p. That's it, no more. So that's out of the USB-C, and that's for you to connect from the CAST to your computer directly without any other device, like any other capture card for that matter. There's this thing right now where it says conversion, FPS conversion. What happens there is that everything gets converted. This camera, this camera, this camera, they all get converted to 30p. If you want more, if you actually want the 60p out of this device, you will need a capture card, whether it be through USB or your PCI slot on your PC. That's the only way you can capture 60p out of this for you to record onto OBS. I will get into OBS in a little bit, but that's one thing that you need to realize, that The CAST itself can only do 30p, but the Ninja 5 output can do up to 60p. So even though the other ones are set to 30, the Ninja 5's output can still remain at 60. And as far as the live button goes, the live button only allows you to lock in your settings. Once you go live, you can no longer do any changes to the output mechanism. So if you're locked into 60, it will be locked at 60 even though there's nothing being fed out. So for you to make any changes, you have to make sure that you unclick live and then make your changes that you want. Like right now it's live is off. You just unclick it and you go back to 60. And now you can click live. But since this monitor is going through the Ninja, that's the reason you can see 60p here. But otherwise, there'll be no feed coming out of the USB-C connection. So for that, even if you try to click it, it doesn't go. You have to unclick live, click the device right here, and then click live, and we'll go live again. And you cannot undo those settings once live has been pressed. As far as the switcher portion goes, the switch portion of the AtomX CAST is perhaps the reason why you bought this device in the first place. So let's dive into it and I'll show you exactly what it can and it cannot do, because this portion of it, it's pretty intuitive, and if you know how to use it, you can perhaps skip the whole menu portion of it 100% and just get to working like you're supposed to with just buttons. If you want to switch, you can just press channel 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what you're getting. So on 4, I have a computer playing. The computer's playing a video of my last video that I did, and then 3 is the GoPro. 2 is the camera above me, which is a D810, and the Z6 here recording as well. In monitor, you can, like I was saying, you can switch cameras 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go back out of there, and you can see that, right? Now, I have it selected to only one touch, so that's the reason why the buttons are red, okay? If you want to do dual touch with this, you can go to the menu. Let's go back out of here. You click menu and you click into, and you click on it and it says 2 touches. One thing you notice is that it also turned the F4 button green. That means that now you're in dual touch. What that means is that it gives you a preview first before you can actually complete the transaction. So if you go to camera 1, it turns green. If you actually want it to go live, then you press it again, and that's how you go into it. Now, the workaround this, if you want to not go back into the menu again whatsoever, is to just press F4. If you press F4, it goes back to single touch, and then you can just switch cameras left and right, like I'm seeing here, see? If you go into into preview mode, you click it, and then it goes into that one, but then it does not go live unless you want it to go live. So what I'm gonna do is actually switch here, this camera, the view of my monitor here, because I'm recording the audio on this, and I'm gonna go to HDMI 1. HDMI 1 right now, I have it set up to be my I'm gonna set it to program view so that it makes it easier. I'm gonna go to output, and here into switcher actually. I have it into multi-view, program view. So in program view, and I'm gonna take PIP out, I guess. I have it set up to PIP, no picture in picture. All right. So in program view, let's go back to switcher. As you guys can see, now I'm up here in program view, and before it goes to the next one, the button turns green. And now if I really want it to go live, then I press it again and it switches up here. Same thing goes back here. I press 1 because that's the one channel I want to go into, and then I can pre-select it, and then before it goes live, then you go here. Now, if you want to see this in preview mode, all you need to do is go to the program output and switch it to preview, okay? Once you switch it to preview, then every time you click on it, it will show you what's gonna go live soon. As soon as you press go, it will go live. But this can only be done if you use the HDMI output of the Ninja 5. If you use the Ninja 5 output, you can switch out whatever it is you want that output to do. If you use the outputs on the back, the USB-C and the HDMI out of the CAST, unless the live button is on, nothing will be previewed or can be seen or will go live for that matter. So do not try to monitor something and then wonder how come my screen is black. The live button needs to be on for that to happen. You just click on and off. You can easily untouch that and you'll go off the air. So for that not to happen, maybe you may want to monitor on the back. That way you know exactly what's going on live. But if you don't want to and you want to have more options, then you use the HDMI output out of the Ninja 5. The fader portion of this, the fade in only works if you're live through the AtomX CAST outputs. If you still have your monitor hooked up to HDMI output out of the Ninja, those fading features will not work here. It only works if you're set up to the back. So what I'm gonna do is disconnect this and connect it to the back of the CAST and see if that works. Give me a second. Okay, there it goes. So here I'm gonna show you that once you press live, if you take it off, nothing gets seen here. If you click it back on, that's when you have live preview again. So do not click live unless you want to end your broadcast. But before you start, if you want to have an easy transition, you do not have control over the fading time. You can also fade out by clicking into it, you see, but it happens real fast. If you go here, you can switch it to white so you can see it real easy as far as how well it works. So fade in, you see, you go out of the air, it's on white, and then you click live, it fades in, but it's extremely fast. So that transition needs to be addressed, I believe, because the fading is way too fast. Fade out, it's actually longer, but the fade in is extremely fast. So I don't like that. Like I said, if you want to use a switcher in dual or single touch, the only thing you can do without going through the menu is just press the actual button here once or twice. If it goes green, it's on dual touch. If it's red, it's single touch. And the other way to do it is also to touch on the actual F4 button here on the bottom, and that will make it dual touch or single touch for that matter without going through the menu. So let's talk about picture-in-picture. And picture-in-picture allows you to put a small feed of one of the other channels on one of the corners of the screen. That's all it can do. It cannot do anything else. You do have some control of that box, and that's how big it might be, and the opacity of it. That box, if you set it up to be, let's say, camera 1, you go to camera 1, and as you can see here, it's up here, right? But let me see if I can put my hand on it. You see that? It has the opacity of 50, I think, or 41%. If I bring it to 100, now you can't see my hand, it's completely through. But you can bring it low, make it very faint if you want, which I think is pointless. But you can also just create a ramp effect, I guess, manually. And you can bring it up to 100. Like I said, you do have control over what size it could be. So that's small, and then the other option is semi-large, I guess. So let me go back here, I guess. Okay, well, anyhow, so I have to move in order for me not to be in the way. Now you can also move it to whichever corner you want. So you can be this bottom, that bottom, now the top left corner, you know, anywhere you want to put it, and that's about it. And you just switch to whatever camera you want it to be. You cannot choose it to be the main camera, channel 3, because that'll just wipe it away. All you need to do is put channel 2, 1, or 4, because right now the pre-selected camera is 3. You can switch out of that by going to switcher and selecting a different camera, and you have camera 1. Camera 1 becomes the main source now on the big screen. Now, if you want to go back to switch the camera, the small camera, you go back to picture-in-picture and select which camera you want it to be. Pressing the source button of the small picture-in-picture will cancel the picture-in-picture overlay. Let me put it back on. Has the same effect if you press the actual button that's the main source. So if you click out of it, it would also cancel that picture-in-picture. How the switch lets you know what the big picture on the screen is by turning this button red. So when it's red, it tells you that that's the channel that's pre-selected to be the big screen, and then you can select all the other channels to be the little screen. The overlays tab is going to be the most complicated and perhaps the one that you need to pay the most attention to. It's because it's very vast and there's a lot to it. So I'm gonna try to take it slow and one step at a time. But let me give you some advice here. Any file that you may want to use, any graphics you may want to use, go to Photoshop, create your own PNG file, make it 1080 by 1920, and already pre-insert your graphic in the location you already want it. If you don't want that and you want something that's movable, make it small, work on it in Photoshop to see the size that you want in the same screen size, 1080 by 1920. And then just crop it to that size only. Crop that size and only save that file based on that with the transparency and everything you want. Then you can place it here and then you can move it around as I'm going to show you. So there's various ways to go around it. The easiest way is just for you to Photoshop the graphics in place to where you want it to be. That way, when you select the location, it doesn't matter really because it's already placed where it needs to be. When you go to the overlay button here, let me go to overlay here. When you go to overlay, you have the slots here. The slots here right now, they'll tell you as soon as I click it that that's the file location where you want to insert it. So since the only one that I have empty right now is number 7, let's import it in number 7. Click on Browse File. As you guys can see, I've already loaded some files onto the drive, so I can just pre-select whatever I want. There's some files here, like the one I have here that says Sky Home 2, Sky Home 1. Those files are over 1 megabyte in size, therefore they cannot be loaded. And when you try to do so, this is what happens. Error, file to load overlaid image. The selected image is too large for the overlay. It tells you here exactly that it needs to be 1 megabyte in size. So I have 2 graphics here that I'm going to choose. The one I'm going to choose right now for this one is called the movable, live movable. And that's because I made it small. I just cropped it to the size of the graphic itself. So let's choose live movable and click it again. We're going to select channel 1. 7's already pre-selected, and now we're going to put that someplace in the middle. When you put it in the middle, that's the location where it's going to go. So we're going to show you guys here on my monitor where it's going to go. Based on the fact that I already selected channel 1 to have the button right in the middle, as you guys can see it right there, live is right in the middle of the screen. If I want to put it in a different location, because this is a small crop that I created, I can select it while it's still in this menu format. You have to be in this menu to do this. You can just click it again, it goes away, and you select the next location where you want it. Or you can just click it again and click another location where you want it. Now it's going to the top right. If I want to go to the top left, I just unclick it and click the location of this one, and it'll go right there. So as you guys can see, all you need to do is just click it first and then click the location where you want it to go. Let's say you want multiples. All you need to do is just select another slot. So click the slot and now select where you want it to go while still on the same channel that you want to be on. So let's say you want that and you want that here on this corner. Now you got to remember that right now, this file right here I created, it's a complete file based on the fact that I created the graphics on a 1080 by 1920 thing. So I already knew that regardless of the location where I wanted to put it, it was gonna go there on the bottom left-hand corner. Let's say you want to add another graphics, and let's say you want to have some crop bars here on this. So I have crop bars already preset to selection number 8. So on slot number 8, I already have it. And like I said, since I made this one already in Photoshop to be already the full size of the screen, it doesn't matter where I place it, off, on. There's a delay every time you turn it on and off, so just remember that as well. It's better to have done this prior to going live, so it's already preset to the location where you want it to be. Also, let's say you want to add still another graphics to this, and I want to add something to this corner. So I choose number 4, which I have a thumbs up, and I click the location, and now I have a third graphics on this. Now this remains here at all time regardless of what you do. So it is set now to channel 1. If you want to go to the switcher, you go to the switcher and you change channels. That's your channel 2, channel 3, and this is my computer second monitor right now. So let's say you want the same graphics, this overlay here on every single channel. The easiest way to go about it is to pre-select it to the graphics you want. So the first thing you do is just go back to switcher and select the channel you want that graphics to be on as well. So since we want this on every channel, we're going to go to channel 2. Then you click on overlay again, and then you hold the number 1 key, because that's where you inserted those graphics. So you hold number 1 key and it stays there. So now you go back to switcher, and when you go back to live channel, to channel 1, you can see that the overlay is there, and so it's on channel 2. If you want to do the same thing to channel 3 or channel 4, let's say channel 4, you go to channel 4, click on overlay, and click 1 again, and there is your graphics once again. So when you go back and forth between channels, channel 1, 2, 3, no graphics. 4, there's your graphics again. So it has your crop bar, the live button, and the thumbs up all at once. So now let's move on to the portion that really matters, and that is to broadcast whatever is happening on your Ninja with all your HDMI inputs, and now you want to put that onto your computer. The first thing you need to do is connect your USB-C to your computer, USB-C connection, and that's it. The computer will recognize this as an actual HDMI capture device, so you don't need any drivers or anything like that. You press live, and now your computer can see whatever the Ninja 5 and the CAST is putting out. If you don't press live, you won't see anything. OBS allows you to do more than just one thing here. Whatever you're feeding onto your OBS is the only thing you can see. If you want to do picture-in-picture, you go picture-in-picture, channel 2. There's your channel 2 right there on top, and no big deal. Anything that's recording probably right now, it's basically following whichever camera I choose, or right now it's just choosing to be audio from camera 1, I believe. or yeah, camera 1 has the audio. If I want to follow, I go to audio follow, the button turns blue, and then I go back to switcher, and I can just select which camera I want to go to, and it should follow the audio out of that one. And I'm hoping it's working. I'm not quite sure if it's working because I'm doing dual capture right now. So now that you have your picture-in-picture, you have your overlay, and here if you want to do an overlay again, you can put it on channel 2 right there. There's my live. So now you have the overlay, you have your picture-in-picture. Basically, that's all you can do with the cast. That's it. The only other thing that this device will allow you to do is to do multi-camera from different devices. So the switcher can only accommodate switching cameras that's already attached to this. If you want dual screen here, half screens, let's say, of 2 different cameras, or maybe one to be the switcher and another one to be another camera, you will be required to have an additional capture card, whether it's the USB or PCI, it doesn't matter. As long as you have another one, then you can actually put another camera through it and will act as if you have dual capturing devices. That's the only way you can select to have dual stack cameras on the screen. This is just the audio out of this. If I want to use my audio that's out here, my microphone, the microphone itself has to be selected right here. So I have it here where it says Scarlett, and it's going through the Scarlett and go back to my computer, and that has a delay. And Streamlabs allows you to manipulate the delay of your microphone so it can synchronize with your video really well. It took me a really long time to figure out that it was that much of a delay, but as you guys can see, it was 295 milliseconds for it to work out perfectly, where everything's in sync now and I don't need to worry about. But prior to that, I was off by quite a bit. It was almost like 3 seconds for that matter. Another way to use this device with OBS is, let's say you have a video that you want to play and you want your picture-in-picture to be at the bottom like I have it here. The only way to go about that is for you to select it to be your picture-in-picture here like I have it here. And all you do is create that profile to work like the way you want it. And then you select where you want your picture-in-picture to be. It doesn't matter where it goes. You can put it wherever you want. Right here is much more flexible and you can put it wherever you want. So I'm gonna leave it here. And now this small box becomes your picture-in-picture that's controlled by the cast. As you guys can see, you can select any channel that's already here on the cast, and that would be in the small picture-in-picture, and that's how you'll use it with OBS if that's the way you wanna go about it. Or if you wanna make it bigger, you can also make it bigger, it's no big deal. And then you go like that. And you can put me on the side of that video and I'll be here, let's say. And I believe you press shift and you can just, no, it's not shift. Control Z, is it alt? Yeah, it's alt. You press alt and then you can make it the size that you want and you can just move it here and then you can just move this here, I guess. Or how do I move this? No. So let's just say I want it here. I'm gonna do is press Alt, increase the size of that, bring this one back in, and there we go. I have it like that, and then if I want this one to be more this way, then I have it like that. Then you just move it, and that's how you customize your window. It seems kind of tedious, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple and straightforward. As you guys can see, dual screen, big screens, much more customizable than it is. You can still switch here on the cast to which camera you want it to be. So let me go here, and that'll be right in the middle of that when it goes into that channel, channel 1. I can turn around here, and that's what you'll see when you go live. So I have a laundry list of items here that are pros and cons about the device and how everything works. So first of all, what I like about the device is the fact that it's compact. It's 5/4 inches in depth, 6 1/4 inches in width, and 2.5 inches in height. And that's from the base all the way from the table to the top of the cast, the highest portion of it. So that's 2.5 inches when you have it all set up. But not just that, but if you want to set this on an actual tripod or any stand, it is doable due to the fact that it has an actual mounting port here and mounting a screw point here. If you want to use that, please do it, because then see the vents here at the bottom, it gives it better ventilation and maybe a lot easier for you to use, because this device does get hot. And the fact that you do not need a monitor. Since the Ninja 5 acts as a monitor, it can be whatever you want. It can be your program view, it can be your multi-view, it can be your touchscreen, selecting a switcher. You can do everything you want here on the Ninja without having to use an external monitor. The other cool portion about this device is it can actually record 10-bit 422 in HD, so 1080 by 1920. Anything else it cannot do, and up to 60p. If you want to capture 10-bit, I would highly recommend the following. You use the same cameras that can export log at the same time. You have to remember that this device does not isolate the feeds. So whatever you have it switched to, that's what will record. So if you switch it to camera 1, 2, 3, or 4, you'll be recording the switching back and forth and everything. But if you have a normal feed in the middle of that, a regular camera that's just throwing out standard 8-bit, mixed with your log, you're gonna have a hard time trying to edit that video because you're gonna have two different colors to match. And the fact that you have a log profile and a regular 8-bit profile, it's just not gonna work in your favor. I would highly recommend you use the same camera in the same log profile. That way when you apply your LUT, it works perfectly and the transitions are seamlessly. Let's not also forget that it can also record in ProRes LT and ProRes 422 as well as DNX HR. Any of those formats will work, and those are extremely friendly formats that you can use with Premiere or any other NLE that you are using. So the cons list is a little longer, but equally as important, I would say, especially if you want to purchase this device. The limiting factor to this is the broadcast section of the device, so the USB-C. It's only limited to 29.973, and it only works when you're in live mode when it comes to the USB-C. Another failed aspect to this is the fact that the picture-in-picture is only limited to one image. So you can only select one camera feed aside from the main feed to go only in 4 specific areas of your screen. And that's very limiting. It's not very comforting to know that you cannot use anything else, or for you to perhaps tweak it in a way where you can just slide it through and put it someplace else. You cannot do so. You cannot do split screen. That will be a cool factor as well, but it's not available. So as far as picture-in-picture, it is very limiting to what it can do. Overlays are another aspect to this, and the fact that the graphics are only limited to 1 megabit kind of limits you to what you can or cannot do. And if you really want to have control over where the overlay goes on your screen, then you have to pre-format it to be already there. That's really not the issue. The issue comes into play when you want to do multiple graphics on the same queue. When you do so, it tends to bog down on the Ninja, on the CAST itself. So when you switch from one camera to another one, you'll see the issue of transitioning. The transitioning becomes glitchy. So the more graphics you use per channel, per queue, the more of a problem you'll have when transitioning from one channel to the other one. So one thing I would like to request out of Atomos is the fact that they already have the Ninja Stream. They already have figured out a way for you to broadcast live or stream live without the need of a computer with that device. So what I would recommend for them to actually put out, if you were to have a smart Ethernet dongle here in the back that connects to the USB-C, that would be a huge plus for this device in order for you to go live without the need of a computer. Because if you don't really want to use OBS and you just want to go live with this, it'll kind of turn it into the A10 Mini. That device did not need a computer for it to work. It only needed the software to be programmed first, and then it was hands-off if you wanted it to be. So it could just be just that device, and that's all. If Atomos is listening to this, if you were to create a dongle for the USB-C here to make this device a solo device to go live by itself, that'll be a plus. And that would be the perfect device for me, even with its limiting factors. So with that, I would like to thank every one of you guys for reaching the end of this video. If you watched the whole thing, you're awesome. And if you haven't, I hope at least the sections that were created here within were useful, helpful. I hope you gave this video a thumbs up. I hope you subscribe. But if you haven't, please do. Anyhow, thank you guys. This was a long video. I'm pretty sure it is going to be a long video, you know. So thank you. I'll see you guys on the next one.